Now.
On 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
Good morning. Thanks for tuning in to O'Connor and Company. It is 6:06 on Wednesday, and we are in the final stretch of 2024. I can't believe it. I mean, I don't want to freak you out, but there's only 2 weeks left to do all that Christmas shopping, so get busy. But first, we have a great show coming up. At 6:35, Cal Thomas. 7:35, Byron York. He'll give us the latest on Trump's nominees and their visits to Capitol Hill. And at 8:35, Stephen Dinan with the Washington Times. He's covering those mysterious drones that we talked about earlier this morning. Kind of a weird story. I'm Julie Gunlock, sitting in for the vacationing Larry O'Connor, alongside my friend Joe Concha. Good morning, Joe.
Jules, can you believe it that I have not got my Christmas tree yet?
Yes, I can believe it. Wait, your Christmas. I thought you were going to say Christmas gifts, but Christmas tree? You got to do that.
Yeah, gifts are easy because Amazon, right? One push, and by 2 o'clock, it's like at your door. But tree, you know what? Thanksgiving was like exceptionally late this year.
Yeah.
So by the time that ended, it was basically December, and then every day I try to go out and get a tree. It's raining. Now, and you don't want to take a wet tree home. So,
okay, so you're a live tree guy.
It's got to be done. Yeah, you need the scent.
I know.
You don't get the scent with the artificial. I have a feeling you're an artificial gal.
Well, I have a feeling you're an artificial gal. I mean, why? We could get into that later, Joe, because I prefer a live tree, but my husband is allergic to the sap in the tree. So
what?
I've told people, like, this has to be a question when you're dating someone. Are you allergic to real trees? Because
That's a third date question.
It's a bit of a deal breaker, although I'm glad I did.
Right.
I didn't
third
ask.
Third date question, boxers or briefs, and are you allergic to sap? Because if that's the case, then
I mean, seriously.
I got Bruce in the as the plan B.
Wings. In the wings. Although I will tell you, it is really nice to just say to Darren, can you put the trees up? And then they're up. And they're pre-lit.
Yeah.
That is, I got to say, that's kind of nice. Okay, we got to get on track here.
You're right.
President Biden delivered remarks at the Brookings Institution Tuesday afternoon. He touted his economic agenda. It's over, Joe. But he touted his economic agenda, making the case that it has been more effective than the kind of tax cuts and tariffs likely to be implemented under President-elect Trump. Now, he had a little bit of a problem both with what he said. Let's listen to cut 16.
All right.
Next month, my administration will end and a new administration will begin. Most economists agree the new administration is going to inherit a fairly strong economy, at least at the moment. An economy going through fundamental transformation.
That's right, sure.
It's laid out a stronger foundation and a sustainable, broad-based, highly productive growth. And it's my profound hope that the new administration will preserve and build on this progress.
Right. I'm sorry. Does he hope they preserve the incredibly high grocery costs, the inability to afford a home? I mean, I don't know, Joe. What's the best part of Biden's economic policies that should be preserved by the new Trump administration?
Biden mix. Let's see. Groceries up 25%, gas up 50%, health insurance still going up despite Obamacare, car insurance up more than 50%, people just paying the interest on their credit card debt because that's all they could afford at this point. I saw some crazy stat that something like 65% of the country can't even afford a $500 emergency if it came about. Like, in other words, like something like happens, it's horrible. They don't even have $500 to pay for it. So, yeah, look, we could do so much better. And we saw the movie with Trump the first time when he was in office up until the pandemic. We had 1.4% inflation, gas prices well below $2. I could go on as far as like how great things were, but that's why Donald Trump was elected, because I was at a rally for Trump for the book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, in Wildwood, New Jersey, because he never comes to Jersey because New Jersey's not really a swing state until it is now, basically. And the bottom line is that he said, this movement is more powerful and popular than it's ever been before. And this was the key line. I wrote this down as a note with 7 asterisks around it because you saw what the alternative is. I had to describe what I thought it would be when I ran against Hillary and Biden in 2016 and 2020.
Yes.
Now you've experienced it, and now you understand how great things can be. I'm like, boy, that's his best argument. He should say that every rally, and I didn't really hear it again. But yeah, that was the.
It is the absolute soul of Make America Great Again. I mean, I think it is. I mean, that is why that messaging worked with the American public. I really want to go to the grocery store and not have heartburn every time I leave. I am feeding him, Joe. I've said this before to you. I mean, I am feeding 3 teenage boys.
Oh.
I mean, the amount of money we shell out in food costs is just unbelievable, and I'm not the only one. I mean, obviously everybody is dealing with this, and then you gas up your car and you pay your energy bills, right? Everything is painful. But I want to also play where Biden's teleprompter went out, and he, of course, malfunctions like a broken robot. Let's play cut 17.
And you know, one of the things that's going on here is they just turned off my. I'm going to go vomit. I lost the electricity here. Anyway, one of the things we found is that you know we invented the computer chip, size of the tip of your little finger.
What? You know what the best part is? He says the electricity went out. Well, how's the mic working, Mr. President?
The lights
is that
are
solar
still
powered?
On. The lights are still on. The lights are still on.
You ever try to watch video on your phone in a place where you don't have good internet and just it pinwheels over and over again? That's Biden or Kamala when the teleprompter goes out. They become a human Chernobyl when it comes to just speaking outside of anything. Boy. We're going to do a lot better.
Look, Biden used to be, I'm no fan of Biden, right? But this is a career politician. He used to be good talking extemporaneously. That is lost. Now, Kamala, no. That has never been a strength. But Joe Biden, I mean, he was pretty good. He had this kind of cool guy attitude, and he could go off script. But that's lost. That is one of those functions that he had that is completely lost. He has to be scripted. And if he isn't scripted, he still tries. You can tell he still tries to speak in a way that's kind of, just off the cuff. But it's a mess. He did what he always does when he gets in these situations. He started yelling and screaming, cut 18.
I can't name a single country in the world that doesn't think. Put it this way. If we're not leading the world, who does? Not a joke. I'm not being wise guy. If we do not lead the world, what nation leads the world? Who pulls Europe together? Who tries to pull the Middle East together? How do we do the Indian Ocean? What do we do in Africa? We, the United States, lead the world.
They say sort of people with cognitive decline, sometimes they have these outbursts of anger.
He mistakes volume with passion, right? Like if I get louder, I can really make this argument. 40 days left, Julie. 40 days, and then we don't have to listen to this person anymore.
It can't come soon enough. We continue in just a moment. But first,
WMAL. Making sense of the news.
Live
from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios.
Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
9 out of 10 brides recommend a Mervis diamond. The 10th is still speechless. For yours, visit Mervis Diamond Importers.
Joe, I'm so excited to talk about your book, your upcoming book. I love the title, Progressively Worse. No. I'm so sorry. Wait, that's not your latest
book. The Greatest Comeback Ever?
The Greatest Comeback Ever. Oh, I'm sorry. Your other book, Progressively Worse. But yes, your new book, The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign. Tell us about this new book. When is it coming out?
Well, the title actually continues, believe it or not. So it's The Greatest Comeback Ever, Inside Trump's Big Beautiful Campaign, ... unburdened by what has been. I just think you need the punchline in there.
Yes, you do.
But we didn't have enough room on the front of the cover, so it goes into the back. Look, it comes out not long after the inauguration, which we just talked about before, about 6 weeks from now. And look, this is a book that wrote itself, and it begins in Wildwood, New Jersey, in that big rally that he had there in the beach, 100,000 people there in a blue state, and then it goes through what was the craziest probably election cycle we will ever see in terms of Joe Biden, the debate in Atlanta, and he's short-circuited like we just played that night for the world to see. He gets shivved by his own party, driven out just a couple weeks later. But in between when that happens, somebody tries to assassinate Donald Trump. A 20-year-old gets up on a roof of a building 150 yards away from a stage, and the Secret Service doesn't secure that building, allows him to hide a rifle right near that building.
Yeah.
He gets a clean shot off, and Donald Trump, just by the grace of God, turns his head a quarter of an inch to read a chart that he's never read before during a rally, and that saves his life. He gets back up. Fight, fight, fight is the first thing he thinks to do. Instead of, like, get me to the car, get me out of here. No, He has to tell the world, I'm okay, we're going to be okay, keep fighting. Most iconic moment you'll ever see in any campaign. And then, Kamala Harris is inserted. We have the summer of joy, of dreams, hopes, and aspirations. She doesn't do any interviews. She's completely repackaged as this new candidate who has fresh ideas, even though she's been vice president for the last 3.5 years. And then we just go through everything as far as the debate against Trump. The ABC moderator is just completely off the rails as far as being biased. J.D. Vance being chosen. Tim Walz, who I think was the worst decision ever for a vice president. I mean, you had Josh Shapiro out there, 65% approval in Pennsylvania state you need, and you go for the goofy 80s sitcom dad and Tim Walz instead. And obviously he was not a plus for that campaign. Her skipping the Al Smith dinner, the Madison Square Garden rally that I was at, that they called a Nazi rally, the media did, and then obviously the beautiful, delicious aftermath after Trump won every swing state and won the popular vote, and obviously Kamala Harris blowing through $1.5 billion in 7 weeks, and then it actually was in debt by the time it was done. Think of how she would have run the government. Oh, man, this thing wrote itself, Jules.
I got to tell you, Joe, I've been in Washington for a long time, okay? And so have you, and we're both sort of doing the commenting and analyzing. Have you ever seen a weirder presidential cycle? Not just weirder, but like honestly more exciting. I feel like to some degree, I really feel. I mean, obviously you're in Washington, and I worked on Capitol Hill. I've worked in various jobs, and I feel like I'm always a witness to history, but never more than this last cycle and the rise of President Trump. Do you feel the same way, that you're just sort of witnessing something that is just so remarkable? I think just hearing you talk about it just then, it's obvious you do feel that way.
Oh, man. I mean, the fact that this guy was called an agent of the Kremlin, right?
Yes.
When he was elected the last time around. The fact that he was impeached twice, right?
Yeah.
The fact that he was nearly killed twice.
Yeah.
Obviously 94 felony counts. We talked about it before. 9 times more felony counts than the Unabomber had against him. I mean, all these things, all these headwinds. And the guy just keeps moving forward. He would get hit. He would just kept moving forward. He's like the Terminator. And now he's the president again. If you want to accuse me of like sounding like sycophantic, towards Trump, I'm sorry. If you just look at this objectively, it's the greatest comeback we have seen since the Revolutionary War. I mean, really.
Absolutely.
No way he should be president right now, given all the forces against him. And he overcame it all, and you have to admire his fortitude and the fact that he never gives up. He never does. Anybody else would have. I would have. I know that.
Joe, when does this book go on sale? You can pre-order?
You can pre-order now. Yeah, no question. Wow. So go to Amazon, wherever you buy books, The Greatest Comeback Ever, inside Trump's big, beautiful campaign, Unburdened by What Has Been. Amazon, HarperCollins.com, wherever you buy books, you could get it now. Make it a Christmas gift. I'll personally sign it if you order it now.
Look, Joe is a machine. He's also got Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats, another great title, Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys, and before that, Come On, Man. So, Joe has plenty of books there to make a great Christmas gift. Go on Amazon, check them out. We've got much more to get to. Right now, it is 6:22.
Now
on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app.
O'Connor and Company.
And a good Wednesday morning to one and all. It's 6:37 on O'Connor and Company. Thanks for letting us be a part of your morning. Coming up at 7:35, Byron York. He'll give us the latest on Trump's nominees and their visits to Capitol Hill. At 8:35, Stephen Danan with the Washington Times. He's covering those mysterious drones that have been sighted all over New Jersey. Such a weird story. I'm Julie Gunlock, sitting in for the vacationing Larry O'Connor alongside Joe Concha. Good morning, Joe.
Jules, it is pouring cold, horrible rain here. I'll take snow over this. This is not good.
We're getting it, too. We're going to get it later today. And joining us now is our friend Cal Thomas. Cal, I hear that you and Joe were sailing the high seas together just a couple weeks ago.
Yes, Yes, everybody seems to be cruising these days. Hi, Joe. Yeah, we were on a Media Research Center cruise, and now Larry's off cruising. Julie, you need to sign up or work on your walk-on water skills.
Yeah, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous at all.
Julie, actually, and Cal, for that matter, Larry will be joining us next year if you're doing the Norwegian cruise that we're going to do to Norway with the Media Research Center. I do this thing every year now. Cal does as well. It's great. You just have dinner with different people every night. You do some panel discussions on what's going on in the world. And this one here was called the Post-Election Cruise. Could you imagine if Trump didn't win? It would be like a funeral at sea. But thank God, Cal, we had happy people.
Yeah, how many people man overboard? Exactly. Well, look, Cal, I'm going to let you and Joe talk because, Joe lives in New Jersey, and there is some weird stuff going on with those drones.
I don't get this. I mean, don't we still have hot air balloons? Don't we have helicopters? Can't somebody go up and see a made in China a sign on the back of them or whatever it is? This is crazy. The FBI is saying, well, we're concerned, but we don't have any other information. I think Congressman Chris Smith is absolutely right, demanding information on this. These drones are flying over military sites. They're flying over Trump's golf course and headquarters up there in New Jersey. What is wrong with us? We let that Chinese balloon drift practically across the entire country before it was shot down. We need answers. I mean, this is not some kid in his pajamas in a basement flying a drone that he bought at some shopping mall. This could be serious stuff. We need answers.
Yeah, there's dozens flying over New Jersey coming off the ocean, right? So to your point, Cal, yeah, this isn't a kid that's just launching a drone. There are multiple drones that we're seeing every night. We've seen it for about a month now. And to your point, we allowed that Chinese balloon to fly all the way across the continental United States over our nuclear facilities, and then only when it got off the coast of South Carolina did we shoot it down. It was like the Clark Griswold of balloons. Like we just allowed it to go all the way across the country, see everything, and we didn't do anything. Why can't we just shoot down just one? I just want to know, so
right.
To your point, does it have a made in China sign on it? Are there Chinese parts in there? Is it ET? Just one. Why can't we do that, Cal?
Yeah, the return of E.T. That would be good. I think we need a song to go with this. It could be to the tune of "Moon Over Miami," "Drones Over New Jersey." I mean, the fact that this administration again can't give us simple information on something that is visible to the naked eye. For heaven's sakes. You don't need some kind of sophisticated equipment. Don't we have telescopes? Don't we have, can't somebody get out in their backyard with their binoculars and have a quick look at this? I mean, this is ridiculous. This is the 21st century. This isn't the 19th century when, we didn't even have airplanes. Come on, give us some answers here. Who's covering up what?
Well, Cal, we're going to move on to another outrageous topic, and that is some of the statements from the left about the acquittal of Daniel Penny. This acquittal just came down on Monday, and you wrote about this.
Yeah. Well, I think this, once again, reveals the undercover of hate, anger, racism, political division. This is supposed to be a season of peace on earth, goodwill to men. We put it on our Christmas cards. We sing it in some of our carols, except in public schools where they're not allowed anymore. Right. And I just find this amazing. But the other part is, when you look at some of these Black Lives Matter people outside the courthouse calling for black vigilantes to go kill white people, this extremist language now, I think, is just going over the heads of a lot of people. It doesn't have the effect that it once did. You look at universities and big corporations now that are pulling out of DEI and all of this other race-based ridiculous stuff. I think it's a spent force, and it's not going to last much longer. But if you're Daniel Penny, as his lawyer said on Fox last night, he's got to be looking over his shoulder for a considerable period of time. Probably is going to have to hire security. Probably is going to have. This is not a rich guy, for heaven's sake, but I do think that this over-the-top language is something that no longer has the effect that it once had, like calling somebody a racist.
Yeah. Go ahead, Joe. Well, I just want to really quick say, and it's not, when you say it's not over for him, he's also now facing a civil trial by Neely's absent father. But I'll let Joe. Joe has some follow-up questions as well.
Well, I just watched The View yesterday, and they're talking about, do we have – I know, I shouldn't.
Torturing
I have to do
yourself.
this for my living, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. And they're talking about how we don't have any humanity because Daniel Penny killed a guy and then went to a bar after he was acquitted. Yeah. When you avoid going to jail over a trial that never should have been bought about, that's something where it's just amazing that the hero is Daniel Penny, yet we're being told now the hero is like Luigi Mangoni or whoever the name of that kid that shot Brian Thompson, the United CEO. I mean, that we're all backwards now, Cal.
Well, there was a great piece in the New York Post yesterday about the dead guy's father, who was just a terrible father. He came from a terrible home. I mean, the father ought to be on trial. Alvin Bragg and this whole clique of crazy attorneys in New York, they should drop this charge. But, of course, they're not going to because they're crazy. I think that Bragg needs to be primaried in the next election. I think that Kathy Hochul, the governor of New York, should have removed him a long time ago. The guy is just a left-wing nut, and he's losing on virtually everything. He's going to keep those 34 felony accounts against Trump until after Trump leaves office. I mean, this whole thing is nuts, and it's why people hate the so-called justice system in so many ways.
Always love your dose of common sense and reality, Cal. Thanks for coming. I know you're probably late to board another fancy cruise, so I'll let you go.
A moon over New Jersey.
There we go.
He sings, too.
He does. Almost every time he comes on. Thank you, Cal. Thanks, Cal. Got more coming up at 6:44. You know, Joe, work from home is very popular, right?
Yeah.
And I love it. I've been doing it for years. I was doing it way before COVID. So
I'm doing it now.
Yes. And, you know, it has become, since COVID, it's become sort of common. But Joni Ernst has done a lot of work on this, and Doge seems to be focusing on this as well. Earlier this week, we talked about a report from Luke Rosiak, our friend over there at Daily Wire, and he talked about how only 6% of federal workers are now going into the office. And we have, you know, it's a significant concern. We have these federal buildings are still being maintained, and there's like nobody in them. So it is a worthy question. And I think Doge is particularly interested in increasing productivity because there has been some question about people taking advantage of this. It's interesting, though, there is now a report that a Biden administration appointee has agreed to lock in hybrid work, hybrid being, you know, you only go in a couple hours a day or maybe only certain days, hybrid work protections for tens of thousands of Social Security staff. The American Federation of Government Employees, this is a union representing 42,000 Social Security Administration workers, reached an agreement with the agency last week that will protect telework until 2029. This new deal, signed by President Joe Biden, his just departed SSA Commissioner Martin O'Malley, it'll let workers maintain current levels of telework. So again, sort of this last-minute deal to circumvent any Trump administration rules coming out about telework and obviously the work of Joni Ernst and Doge. What are your thoughts on this?
Wow, this is like the preemptive pardons that are coming for Liz Cheney and Adam Schiff. Right? I mean, all right, you know, don't worry. We know you haven't committed a crime, but we'll make sure in case you are investigated, nothing could happen to you. Or the $10 billion that we just gave Iran, or we're giving billions more to Ukraine to keep that war going that no one wants anymore. Look, I come down on working from home in the hybrid model, I think is the way to go. Because when you can take out hours upon hours of commuting in and out to a job, you become more productive.
Right.
I mean, it's proven you're happier. You could take care of your families better. So I'm kind of in the middle on this one where I don't think it should be like federal employees who only go in like something like, 6% of the time? No.
Yes.
But you want to give me a 50-50 model where 3 days a week you work from home, 2 days you go in, and then the next week you go in for 3 days and you're home for 2. Yeah, I think that we'd have a more productive society and a happier workforce if you could avoid commuting into Washington, which ain't fun. You know, I went to school down there. I know all about the Beltway and Route 1. But at the same time, New York is even somehow worse because they decided to build that city on an island, and there's only like 3 ways in and out, and it's just horrible. It took me an hour and 48 minutes to get home from Fox yesterday. I live 19 miles away. I mean, that's just crazy.
I look, I'm with you. I certainly sympathize. I enjoy work from home arrangements that I have had with my employer. I have worked at my other job, the Independent Women's Forum, for nearly 20 years, and it has always been work from home. So I've been enjoying this for a long time, but I do think there are people taking advantage of it. And I'm kind of disgusted, though, because it turns out, and again, this is reporting by Luke Rosiak, great reporter out of the Daily Wire. He said, and he has evidence, that the head of Social Security, Martin O'Malley, had drinks with union members right before giving them this telework deal. So there's a little bit of classic DC dirty business going on there, where this is, let's go hang out and party and have a couple drinks, and then whoop, look at this great deal, this sweet deal for that, again, will prevent I'm sure there's something they can do, but at least will make it more difficult for Doge, Joni Ernst, Trump administration to make changes to these arrangements.
The swamp lives, but that's what I love about this administration most. The fact that you have Elon Musk, never voted for a Republican in his life, and Vivek Ramaswamy, right? Two billionaires who know how to run businesses. Remember what Elon did with Twitter? He cut 80% of the workforce there, and it's never run better. It's never been more efficient.
That's right.
So we're going to see those cuts, but hopefully the Trump administration can do something about this preemptive nonsense, because it's just a whole bowl of wrong.
Yep. It is 6:53.